Welcome to the Thought Brothers. I'm Gary Johnson. It's been a whirlwind week. I'm telling you, Biden out, Harris in. And you know what? I think the men are feeling it, but let's see what the Thought Brothers say. I should note that you see one of our brothers is missing. The interrogator, the information guy, our Bill Spivey, he's on a special assignment. Let's just put it this way. And can't say where he is, but he's out. And he will be back next week, hopefully, with some information and insights. CJ has his strategist that'll be working with him. But we're going to turn it over to the financial analysts. Carlos, what do you got? What's going on this week from your perspective?
Hey, look, hello to everyone out there. Before we get into the main news, I just wanted to say, let me backtrack a little bit. You know, we did have a resignation by the Secret Service Director, Kimberly Cheadle. She literally got in front of Congress and couldn't answer any questions. They literally asked her some basic questions. Why wasn't someone assigned to the roof? Her response was, we have to wait till the report comes out in about 60 days. Literally, they were asking the most basic questions. How come that wasn't in your regular threat assessment? We have to wait till the report comes out in 60 days. I mean, she literally answered nothing. Again, I am not sure how that sniper or assassin was able to get on the roof. I think I said it once that if I was walking my Jack Russell past that low-level building, I think he heard me, and he would have sniffed out or heard or sensed that there was somebody was on the roof. Literally, it wasn't a 100-story building. What was it, 2-3 stories at tops? They just simply blew it. I'm trying to figure out someone who ascends and has a career that gets them to be head of the Secret Service blows that one. I really don't understand. So anyway, she has resigned. We'll see if that helps to make things better. I'm not sure if she got laxed in her job, what happened, but that really perplexes me on how that could have went down. But she's out. Now, with that being said, maybe all the leaders and dignitaries feel a little safer because somebody else is going to take over. And I'm sure the next person who takes over will definitely check low-level, close proximity roofs. Hey, I would have checked it, and I never worked for him, so I don't know. Okay, but with that being said, Biden's out. He said he was never going to get out. We know he needed to get out, but he finally caught COVID, I guess again, and somehow in the state of having COVID at his home, he decided he's not coming back to run for another term or finish running. Is it shocking news? Yeah, I think it's shocking that he finally dropped out, because he said a couple of days before he would never drop out. Is it shocking to us? No. I mean, I think we knew that, again, some people just age differently. He's had a wonderful political career for 50 years or so, or more than 50 years. It was just time. What can you do? But Kamala Harris is breaking records as far as fundraising. She's collecting more money. Look, I got a personal email from Kamala last night telling me that she's running. She needs my support. It was addressed to me, Carlos. I responded by asking her if she'd be coming to my ceremony in a couple of days.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, look, I doubt she'll show up. But no, I did not send that. I was about to send it. And my wife said, you know what? We're too close to D.C. That might be a political opportunity for her to show up, and then she would take over the ceremony. So I said, you know what, let me leave things alone and just send her a few bucks. So yep, I'm on the train. She has energy, she has passion. I know a lot of people have not necessarily liked her or publicly expressed support for her previously, but what we're seeing now is a lot of younger voters seem to be re-engaged. A lot of female voters seem to be now re-engaged. And I've been told throughout my life there's more females in the world than males. So I would think that stands true for the country. So let's see where that puts us at from a female perspective versus a male. Does she get 90+% of the female vote in the country? I don't know. Does she get 90% of young voters under the age of 30 who weren't going to vote anyway? Those could be X factors that could upset Donald Trump, because I don't think he was factoring on that. I think he was thinking that Joe was just going to ride this one out and he was just going to blow him out of the water. I mean, we all were starting to think that, right? We thought that Biden would just not drop out, and he said he wasn't, but he did. So I think the key is now we have to see where this goes. But there's a lot of things in Kamala's past they're going to bring up. About the number of black men that she supposedly was in charge of incarcerating in California as a prosecutor. All these things are going to come up, but it appears that the Democratic base is, re-energized. So with that being said, with those intros, with those things, come on, man, we got the best political correspondent in the business. Come on, CJ, what you got, man? What you got?
I kind of got to be a little smug and spike the football a few times today, because all the people who said, "Oh, Joe Biden will never drop out. What a terrible idea. He's your best chance." Turns out the Democrats agree with me. Oh, all of a sudden that Joe Biden needs to step down to the point where Pelosi's over here, about to take him to the glue factory, and so yeah, I guess I wasn't so wrong and crazy and outlandish for the idea that the octogenarian who can't do sentences probably shouldn't be running against Trump, with all of democracy on the line. And it turns out maybe I wasn't so crazy. Oh, turns out, surprise, surprise. Another thing that I said was just about anybody other that can do complete sentences that is not on his way and have one foot in the grave has a better chance against Trump, because Trump is deeply unpopular. He is fanatical base on the right for his supporters, but in terms of broad support on the country, people hate that man. Like, he got shot at last week. Somebody literally tried to murder him last week, and most people forgot and don't care anymore. Like, Trump is one of the most hated people in American politics, one of the most polarizing and divisive figures. So just putting a normal, non-insane person up against him, you already see what the effect is. Kamala, fundraising, even though she's deeply unpopular. The fact that she's younger than Biden, and also, that makes a big difference in terms of energizing the donors of the base who, if it's Joe Biden, they felt like they were just lighting their money on fire. Why would you donate to a guy that's going to lose? So now they've given them a little enthusiasm. As I said the only logical replacement is Kamala Harris, because she's a sitting vice president. And if you pick anyone else, it's going to look like she was never qualified to be vice president in the first place, because why be VP if not for a situation like this where Joe Biden can't finish the job? I feel like that's what she selected for. So to pick someone else would just make your party look inept and incompetent on another level. So it kind of, Kamala is not a great option, but she's the best option you've locked yourself in with, because you really can't go with anyone else because she's vice president. If she's qualified to be vice president, she should be qualified to run for president. I mean, it shouldn't, and if you're talking about continuing Biden's agenda, it makes the most sense that his vice president should be the one to do that. So I don't like all the people saying they should swap in somebody in the last minute. Although there is a big issue with Kamala Harris that is still going to be a huge problem. And it's not that she's a woman or black, which is the main lines of attack from Republicans, which is hilarious to me that their own speaker has to be like, could you stop with the racist attacks? You're making us look, crazy. Because they can't help themselves. But the real issue with Kamala Harris is not really her policy. She's a standard corporate politician, just like Joe Biden. But at the same time, the issue with Kamala being selected is the fact that she was selected by Democratic elites in a back room. And the fact that she's not popular and been selected as vice president and now basically anointed to run for president is an issue for the party that says the Republicans are a threat to democracy. The Democrats bent over backwards to make sure there was no primary, to make sure the voters could not pick Biden's replacement, that the party elites are going to pick Biden's replacement. And then they're also going to pick the vice president. So now the Democratic voters base is going to have no say in the president or vice president, which is weird for the party that is supposed to be championing democracy. So I feel like that's the main issue with Kamala Harris is she was deeply unpopular. When she ran in the primary against Biden and Bernie, she had, let me check my notes here, 0 delegates, and she had to drop out before her own home state. So it's not like there was this movement that Kamala was popular and an upstart and had this energy. She had no energy. She ran a terrible campaign and got flushed down the toilet before California, her home state. So it wasn't because she's popular or has overwhelming support. They picked her. They picked her because she's a black woman. And if they were logical and picked the next best candidate in terms of the ticket, they would have had the double old man ticket of Bernie and Biden, which is, not great for optics, but that would have made the most sense to bring Bernie's support of the young voters, the progressive base, and things like that. But by picking Harris Biden, now they're kind of stuck in this position where Harris is not popular. If they ran a primary, she might not have won. And if they run an actual primary, likely the voters will pick somebody to the left of what the establishment wants. They'll pick a Bernie Sanders like they did last time. So the establishment will have to, intervene and make sure that the voters don't get to the candidate that they want. So still, that's the issue on the Democratic side. Not that Kamala is unqualified in any way. She's as qualified as Obama or, Biden or any other the standard Democratic politicians. It's the fact that no one voted for her, and then the no one continues to vote for her, and she continues to be elevated in these positions without the consent of the actual Democratic voter base. So I think that's the main issue. But outside of that, luckily she's running against the orange felon, and there's going to be an opportunity there. So for those people that are excited about Kamala, I don't want to stomp on your excitement. I think, I did say that this is a better option than Biden, and at least makes it look like you're not just throwing your hands up and laying down for the election. At least you're going to try to fight and win. But at the same time, she's not a great choice because, again, she's deeply unpopular. She's not super charismatic and doesn't bring a whole lot in terms of policy differences to the table, which is why I thought it was a great decision that she didn't attend the war criminal speech today in Congress. As Benjamin Netanyahu is speaking to Congress today, we basically invited Hitler to make a speech in front of our politicians while they applaud his genocide and listen to his lies. And she made a very good political decision to not attend that, to distance herself from some of Joe Biden's more unpopular policies like the genocide. So if she can do that and continue to make smart political moves like, not hosting a war criminal, something Biden looked like he was going to do, and some other things, I think she could win. She could win, but it's still not going to lead to any fundamental difference in the country. It might be a little less racist and yeehaw in terms of the January 6th type of things. But when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris said, coming off the Trump presidency, that nothing would fundamentally change, they govern like it. And that's why they're struggling. Because as we were kind of talking about pre-show, there are a lot of people that feel like over the last 4 years that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have done nothing to help them as inflation and other things have gone crazy. And all they have is the threat of Trump. But you have to have a vision to help people on your own. This is the same thing, the same problem that Joe Biden and other Hillary Clinton and other Democrats are going to have is when you have no vision other than the other guy is worse. That's not an inspiring message. So hopefully Kamala can come up with some sort of message beyond Trump is bad. And, maybe do something for the people a little better than Biden. They say she might be a little better on the Gaza stuff. She might be, slightly more progressive than Biden in some places. So I'll take the wins where we can get them. But a Kamala Harris presidency isn't something that's getting me super excited.
What about, go ahead, Carlos.
I wanted to throw something in real quick, Gary.
Yeah.
We talking about money, man. Money, dollar bill rules everything. Kamala Harris, Biden Harris for president and vice president. Her name was on the ticket. So because her name was on the ticket, all the money that was already collected can be used by Kamala Harris to move forward. If they had brought somebody else in differently, then that money would not have been able to be used that was previously collected. So money does rule everything. So that made a huge difference as well. And like you said, CJ, it seems like she's a natural choice to carry on Biden's policies. If for some reason, she is the vice president. So to carry on Biden's, message seems like a logical choice. That's the whole purpose of a vice president, right? If the president cannot proceed or continue to move forward for any particular reason, then the vice president is there. So in this case, it's really for the next term. He's not really in a position to move forward due to, things we've discussed in the news recently. So she should be the next person up. So she gets to keep the money that was previously raised. I just checked. As of 24 hours ago, she had raised over $100 million in donations. She's breaking records as far as donation fundraising. And that's going to be a major issue for Trump because now Trump is probably saying, okay, if she's raising $100 million, then she's got support or she's gaining support every single day. I really and truly believe that Trump thought he was just going to trounce Biden because Biden would never give up. I think this threw a monkey wrench into Trump's campaign. And like I said, in a weird way, I mean, Trump is probably still leading in the polls. I don't know what the polls have said as of today, but there could be an upset again women come out, younger voters come out, people who maybe weren't going to vote, now they're going to vote. That could be a problem. Not saying it will, but the X factor is there's doubt. I think there's doubt. It's not 100% lock right now for Trump. And it's based on the fundraising. If she had raised no money at all, I'd be like, look, yeah, she's running against Trump now, but she only raised like $5. So, no chance. But she's broken a record, over 100 million in a couple of days. So that means somebody's supporting her. So that's my latest take from the financial view. Money rules everything around us. Dollar bill, y'all. That's what I got. What you got, Gary?
That's the main reason that they would anoint her, is because she can fundraise, she can get money from donors. She is a corporate politician. She's willing to sell out the special interests. She's taking money from AIPAC. She takes money from all these people. That's why they're so comfortable with her. And we're trying to elevate her when she was running as a candidate. I feel like the media really wanted her to be the darling in 2020 and things like that when she was running, but her campaign was just so incredibly weak. Even the media couldn't manufacture the enthusiasm for her. So, I mean, I think that's just kind of the main issue that they're running into there.
I read a report, I don't know if it's true, that Elon Musk is distancing himself from Trump, and that he was donating $45 million a month to the RNC, and that he's holding back. I don't know if that's true or not, but
first he came out and said he was going to donate $45 million a month to Trump to endorse him, and then he walked it back to like today or something like that.
Yeah,
saying he doesn't subscribe to a cult of personality or something like that. Elon Musk is a moron. He's just the example of like billionaires are not smart, and he's the biggest example that billionaires are not these brilliant geniuses and things like that. He's one of the dumbest people in America with billions of dollars, and shows that everything wrong with our broken system where oligarchs like him get to control and buy politicians at their leisure.
Yeah. What about her VP pick? Any what strategy or any thoughts on that?
I mean, she should pick someone who's popular. I mean, honestly, don't overthink it. You should stay away from people like Shapiro and people like Buttigieg. Buttigieg already deeply unliked. You don't want to bring a black woman and a gay man on the same ticket. I don't think you would want to do that. Also, Pete Buttigieg is just a smarmy, unlikable personality, so I don't think you should do that. I think Shapiro in Pennsylvania is very, very bad on the genocide issue, so you don't want to bring in somebody who's aggressively pro-genocide if you're trying to distance yourself from that issue. So you should just, she needs to stay away. I've seen some other names floated, but if she can just pick a generic, they're probably gonna pick a milquetoast white guy to keep, the people comfortable there, since he's already a black woman. And just pick somebody with some popularity. You shouldn't overthink this. Again, you're running against Trump. Again, I know there's a myth that Donald Trump is insanely popular, but that is a myth, and the polls are showing that. Kamala is, even in the past couple of days, is polling fairly good. Some favorable polling coming out in her ways, because Trump is deeply unliked. People they did not want to see Trump versus Biden again, and you're seeing just the backlash of that. Even though Kamala is not super popular and all the things we talked about before, look at how much money she's raised for people just being like, thank God, I'll donate to anybody, not one of the two old guys who's already been president. So just to have a new face is already just going to give you some legit enthusiasm. And again, Kamala has an opportunity here to kind of show people that she could be a little to the left of Biden on some places and get some enthusiasm. So she needs to lean into that. Try to lean into that. I don't think she's going to like pick like Bernie Sanders or something, but she'll pick somebody with some degree of young enthusiasm to shore up that part. And she could really damage Trump there with black people and young voters. So she needs to lean into those demographics and try to win there.
I was thinking maybe the guy out in Arizona, Senator Kelly, Mark Kelly.
Yeah, I've heard his name spun.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like he wouldn't, middle of the road, wouldn't offend too many people. I think she may make some moves, like you said, like today, distancing herself from some of Joe Biden's policies and not hosting Netanyahu and cozying up to him. She may make some of those moves, but I've talked to some men today around the country. They're excited. These are middle-aged men who are excited about, like you said, not voting for these two old guys, And Biden's going to address the country tonight, later on after this show, and we'll see what he has to say about that. Go ahead, Carlos. What you got?
Well, I was going to say, as far as the VPs, every presidential candidate needs to pick a VP that is something they're not. Donald Trump picked a young guy because he's not a young guy. President Obama picked a white guy because he wasn't a white guy. Biden picked a multiracial, biracial, was the Indian and Jamaican African American woman, right? Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he picked something and a woman. Okay,
Yeah.
so something he's not.
Yeah.
And I think what you guys are saying is spot on. CJ said, "Hey, don't make it complicated, right? Pick somebody who's popular, and you pick somebody who is what she isn't. That's not a woman of color, probably a white man because she's not a white man. Okay, and then you have I doubt it would be a woman, right? I just don't know. Like CJ was saying, I don't know if the country's ready for or would elect a woman of color and a gay man, or a woman of color and a woman who's not a Caucasian woman, two women on the ticket at the same time. I think you always pick something that you're not if you're the presidential candidate. Okay, so I expect it to be a white man. That's what I would expect. Middle-aged white man, like I said, around 50 to 55 years old. So they have they can be vice president for 8 years and then still run for president. That's always the idea behind it, right? Someone that's not, someone who's popular. CJ, I mean, I think hit the nail right on the head. And then also be aware of this. When you're an assistant, when you're a vice president, or you're an assistant manager, or you're an assistant coach, or you're an assistant anything, if you're number 2 at anything in this world, you go along with your leader's position because you're there to support your leader. You're not there to coach your leader. You're not there to mentor. Number 2 is not there to mentor number 1. If anything, number 1 is mentoring number 2. So basically what I'm saying is Kamala is right now running on supporting Joe's policies, but she's going to have her own. Like if she wins, she's going to have her own. And I think that's what probably gets some people excited because like CJ said, or like Gary, like you said, people are excited about not voting for 2 old guys. I think, don't get me wrong. I mean, Kamala's what, late 50s?
59. 59.
Good. Right there. That's what you need. She's not at retirement age. 59 is about as close to 65 as you can almost get within 6 years, where you've got 35 years plus of experience. Okay. I'll take that back. Yeah, yes, you have 35 years plus of experience after coming out of college or whatever, and you're not at the retirement age yet. And that means you're experienced. Okay. You've been in the workforce. You've seen some things. That's probably right where you want to be at to be president. So I think that's a good move. Even if she wins the first term, wins the second term, she's just slightly over retirement age when she gets out at 67 or 68. Okay, good. And then now she just has to pick someone who's also like I said, between 50 and 55 as a VP. So if she does win and win again, then that person can have an opportunity to run in 8 years. So I think everything's set up. I think you are definitely excited, though, about the opportunity of just voting for somebody with different views. You would think that the difference between 59 and what's Joe, 82? You would think 23 years isn't a big difference. I consider every 10 years a generational gap. I think people in the 70s thought different than people in the 60s. I think people in the 80s thought different than people in the 70s, 90s different than the 80s, 2000s different than the 90s. So you're talking about 2.3 generations in 23 years. It doesn't seem like a lot, but yeah, it is a lot. So I think that, wow. I mean, this one is going to be real interesting, but I think I want to see what Trump's got to say, in his upcoming speeches, because, like I said, this is something they didn't plan for. And I will say, I gotta look up who Trump's campaign manager is, because Trump's campaign manager was definitely putting Trump in the right position just to beat Biden down. I mean, Trump was actually at the point where he was just going after Biden on his policies, and he wasn't even referring to Biden's age anymore. Biden's age was doing all the promotion that Trump needed by itself. Somebody obviously told Trump, don't say anything about that. Just let him run himself into the ground. He did. Somebody said, okay, let's debate Biden. We know he'll screw up the debate. And somebody on the Democratic side didn't see it. So now Trump is like, I got this. Biden's never going to drop out. He's a stubborn old mule. He dropped out. well, he didn't drop out. He really got forced out. But now we'll see what happens. So the whole thing's interesting, and that's really all I got right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to follow up on your Trump point,
ahead.
that's exactly what happened, because the last time when they debated last time the election was around, when Trump was brutalizing Biden over his age, it actually didn't play well with general election voters, because it made Trump come across as mean and cruel and bullying an old man. So like, I'm sure his team told him, like, let's just lay off of those attacks, attack him everywhere except his age, because that's gonna, that's going to play poorly for the general election. I'm sure your voters like that, you being vicious and cruel, but general election people, it doesn't play well because everybody has an old grandpa that's a little slow and stuff like that.
Right, you're right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see, who is that campaign? Former Trump. I'm trying to figure out who the campaign man, who's in charge of the Trump campaign, doing some fact checking. Stephen Chung, communications director. So doesn't say exactly who it is. There's a bunch of people, but they are advising correct. Yeah, they're advising him correctly. Now let's see how they advise him against Kamala Harris, because now they have to be careful, not because she's obviously gaining a lot of support from a lot of people, and now they can't offend the young voters or women voters. And now does Roe versus Wade come back into the picture a little bit now that we have a woman opposing Trump? A lot of different things may come up now, because we got some definitely different views. I always said that when something major happens, we may view it one way from the outside looking in. But if it happens to us personally, or if it happens to a loved one like our child or our wife, you might be like against a particular policy or procedure in general. But then if it happens to you, you're like, oh, I got a 13-year-old daughter who just got pregnant, or I got a wife that's about to go to jail on murder charges because of this particular law. You start seeing things differently if it happens to you. So now that you have a female running for president, there's going to be some different perspectives, and she's going to lead the way on different perspectives from a male. I mean, bottom line is, men and women, you can have the same education, come from the same place, but a husband and wife has been married for 50 years can still sit at the table and have a debate. And I think that's what's going to happen, that you're going to see a different perspective from an experienced prosecutor, politician, someone in the workforce who's not at retirement age, who still articulates very well, who knows how to argue her case as a prosecutor.
Yes.
Now give a female perspective that we didn't have before. Because even Nancy Pelosi, even when she gave her positions on different things, I don't think Nancy Pelosi, if I'm not mistaken, was a prosecutor. So I don't think she knew how to get out and really, she stated her case and she did well, and all those things for a number of years. But I think now we're going to get a really different perspective from a former prosecutor now, and someone who is no longer, unaware of how the White House operates. I mean, she just spent the last 4 years as vice president, so she knows what happens in the White House. So that's an extreme advantage over the first time she ran and she had no White House experience. She was just working from Capitol Hill. That view. So now the views are completely different. But this is going to be interesting, guys. I think it's going to be a good thing. We might see history made again. I remember when Obama, I still couldn't believe Obama was going to win in 2008. And when I woke up the next morning, they said he had won. I was like, what? Really? Because for younger people, it may be, something that you could see happening. But I think anybody born before 1980, let me tell you something. Growing up as a kid in elementary school in the 1970s, a black president, we couldn't get a black manager at the 7-Eleven. I mean, every manager in the country was a white male. I don't care where you went. Women weren't managers. Blacks weren't managers. People from different, the only manager I saw that wasn't white was when I went to a Chinese food restaurant, and the owner, operator, manager was, someone who was a minority. He was Asian, right? Literally everywhere I went. Gary, do you remember this from the 1970s?
It was tough. It was tough seeing Black people in positions of power. Do you think Trump, despite what he says, will debate Kamala Harris? And if so, how do you think that debate will go? Because I think, as her being a skilled prosecutor, I think she will outsmart him in a debate and really really make him look bad. But we'll see. I don't know. What do you think?
She'll do better than Biden, but I remember her in the debates for the general, for the Democratic primary,
Yeah,
and
she
she
wasn't
wasn't good.
impressive then.
She was getting slapped around by Tulsi Gabbard and some other people. She wasn't good. Again, Kamala doesn't have a lot of charisma, and her record's not great. So there's a lot you can attack her for, but um, again, Trump is also an incoherent, lying old man. So
Yeah.
it shouldn't be too hard to get the best of him in a debate when you have somebody like I said, at least Kamala Harris can articulate herself and, be able to, do that in a way that Biden couldn't.
Carlos, what do you think about a debate? I mean, Trump says,
Yeah.
and then I hear him say he wants to weasel out. He said, well, ABC is fake news. It should be on Fox. That's just whining. I think he knows he's no match for her in a debate. But what do you think?
I think that both will try to avoid each other in a debate. I think they'll come up with it's too close to the election time that campaigning will be the priority. Now I could be wrong, but that's what I think. I think they're both going to say the same thing, and we won't see a debate between those two. Now, again, if we do happen to see a debate, I still think that Kamala is she's a prosecutor. She should go with facts, whether people like her or like her decisions or not. She should be skilled enough to go with facts, whereas Donald Trump, if you fact check him, doesn't seem to add up. And
No.
that's what she's going to lose at. And I think the problem is also, we haven't talked about this, right? But I said this on our previous shows. Optics. Everything is optics, right?
Yep.
It's not how things are. It's not how things really are, it's how they appear to be. Bottom line is, you can say what you want. Kamala Harris visually is going to come off much better in a debate than Donald Trump. Kamala Harris is going to appeal to younger people just by the way she looks. I mean, it shouldn't be that, maybe that shouldn't be a factor, but in reality, optics makes a difference. And Kamala Harris is going to present well when she just by standing there. Okay, and let's throw it out there. I mean,
Okay.
she's pretty attractive. Okay, she's pretty attractive, and Donald Trump is orange, and just by optics, I think a lot of younger people are gonna be like, who do I want? The old orange guy? Or do I want the younger, she might be 59, but she probably looks 39 or 49, just by optics, I think younger people who tune in are gonna be like, let me just give a younger person a shot. I think he's gonna lose votes if they both get into a debate as soon as those cameras flash on each other, regardless of what they say. That's my take. We'll see what happens.
Looks like we got a guest here. Brother Carl Jones. Carl, can you thank you for joining us there, Carl. Can you hear us okay?
Very good. I hear you very well.
All right. Well, let me introduce Carl before we close out. Carl, we've been talking about obviously the Joe out, Kamala Harris in. Carl Jones is, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're the president of the Democratic Black Caucus here in Flagler County, Florida. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, Carl, give us some insight from your perspective about what's been going on. Just to give you a recap, I'm feeling some energy around the whole situation. I think all of us are. CJ is a little measured in what he's feeling. Carlos is probably closer to me, but give us some insight where you stand as associated with Democratic politics.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Johnson, for allowing me to be on tonight. I heard a little bit of CJ's talk before I was getting out of my car. But I'm gonna tell you, man, as being the president of Flagler County Democratic Black Caucus, I'm greeting you as that, but I'm speaking to you as Carl Jones, father, grandfather, husband of 4 kids and 7 grandchildren. And I'm telling you, not really gonna, debate whether, Kamala is good or that or not. I'm gonna tell you, 14 million people voted for Biden Harris. That means 14 million people voted for Biden Harris. That means if Biden cannot pull his load as the president of the United States, the next person in line is the vice president. And this goes without you know, Democrats, you know, they can throw all these voting primaries, subprim, all that stuff don't mean anything because the succession of power is, the leadership is the president, the vice president, speaker of the House. Without any other voting needs to be said. The only reason why they jumped into this, we'll do sub primaries, give anybody else a chance if they want to come out and vote. That's all good and dandy for if you want to be democratic about it. But the thing is, when Biden won the presidency, his vice president was Kamala Harris. That means if I cannot pull my load, VP, you take the reins. Without question. I've been in the military 26 years, retired, decorated, very well established, the top level senior NCOs of the military of the United States Air Force. And I'm gonna tell you, any role that I took on, I made sure that if I fall, there's someone to take my space. And that person that takes my space has to have someone to take his space or her space if they fall. That's the succession of leadership. All right. So before all this other stuff plays out, will I vote for Kamala? You know, we start, you know, black folks, we start chopping us down at the freaking hinges before we can take a step. And I'm telling you, as leading the Black cause, trying to get people to understand, man, even if we don't even talk about, you know, what our ancestors did for us and died for us so we can have this this right, not privilege, this right to vote. You know, even not even talking about that. I'm talking about what you leaving your kids when you go on. You know, that's what I'm talking about. And the person that's running on the opposite side of whatever Democrat is running, that does not have the values and the qualities I see and I would follow as a follower, following a leader. If that person does not have that, that person does not get my vote. You understand? So we're picking out values in people, in flawed people. We're picking out values, something that we can say, I'll stand with that person. Last night I was on a call with some black men that got together and just were excited about being able to see democracy in its place, history taking place of a VP that happens to be black taking on the role as the president of the United States. Man, if you can't get excited about that, you don't need to be breathing this air. You understand? So my thing is, baby, everybody has their own opinions. Everybody has their own vote. But I sat on that call for 4 hours, man, just getting excited about what it is we're about to see. Because what you're going to see is a powerful black woman attain the role of as the most powerful person on this planet, or you're going to see on the other side an old white man, racist to the core, that's trying to stomp you down into further down in history and take out your history, and you're even thinking about or contemplating not voting for the person who's trying to stomp this out. That's insane to me. But everybody has their own opinion. So as I tell my folks in my caucus, look, all we're doing is educating. We are providing some information to these people and let them cast their own vote. Let them be the leaders in their family, whether it's Trump or Harris. But make that vote and make it with your heart, because there will be consequences no matter if you vote for Trump or Harris. There's consequences on both of those votes. But I'm standing behind Kamala Harris simply because she's taking on the role as vice president, knowing that if he dies or becomes incapacitated, I'm the person in charge that's going to make sure we're not trampled on by by rogue dictatorships like Russia has never been closer to our door in my 60 years of life, as close as they are to our back door right now today. So just think about this, man. I'm telling you, because everybody has their own vote, and I try to live my life in front of my kids with integrity, service, and excellence. That's what I preach to my kids. All right. And I want them to preach to their kids. And now my grandkids are getting an opportunity to hear that. And they will make the choices. As young CJ, you have to make your choices as well. But I just say I say that you know, nobody really wants to take on a powerful role and then lose people from their decisions. I've been in that position. I've been in that situation where I've made a hard decision and I lost people. But that decision had to be made. And I was the person in charge to make it. So we just got to let Kamala attain the role. If she gets it, if we vote her in or we don't, we got to give her the opportunity to take that on. Just like Biden, I went either way with Biden. If he would have said, I'm going on in the fight, I would have been right there in the fight with him. Now that he says I'm stepping back, I'm endorsing my vice president, I'm all in with that because she's attained that role. He picked her knowing that if by chance I fall, this is the next person that's going to take the role as the most powerful person in the world. And that's what I preach to our people. And then I allow them to make their own choices after that.
Okay. All right. Any response or reaction to Brother Jones? Go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with largely some of that. Like, I think like Kamala being vice president makes the most sense. And if you're going to, continue on Joe Biden's legacy, that she should have been the person to do so because of her position as vice president. But you did mention that people are excited over democracy in a democratic process. But then, but earlier in your statement, you did acknowledge that there was no democratic process to pick Biden's replacement. Also, like she was chosen by Biden, as you just said, not by voters because she was popular and had grassroots support. A lot of her support was elevated by Democratic elites as she won 0 delegates when she ran in 2020 and was, picked by Biden, as you just said, to be vice president, which is fine. Again, I think she's qualified. I think she has a great chance to beat Trump. And I think that would be a better outcome for the country. But she needs to, it's not on me to convince voters that Biden and Harris are going to fight for them in terms of policies. And you said, so many people voted for Biden and Kamala. Technically, that's true, but I think a lot of those votes were votes against Donald Trump. I think a lot of those votes are anti-Trump votes, and not particularly I'm excited about Biden and Harris and their agenda, but more so I'm scared of Trump and I'm going to vote for anyone but Trump. And I just don't know how strong that strategy is going to be a second time in terms, because I think we want the same results. I don't want to see a Donald Trump presidency, but I think the Democrats have done a piss poor job of actually fighting the Republicans and, putting up a defense against the Trumps and some of those terrible policies, as well as some of their policies as well that have hurt the working class and things like that. So, I don't really feel like I have a skin in the game because neither one of these parties aligns with my values at this point, the Democrats or the Republicans. The Republicans are worse. They're more far gone, but the Democrats have also kind of abandoned the working class and, policy wise, a lot of things that they used to stand for where I thought they were marginally better. So again, like I'm not trying to stomp on anyone's enthusiasm for Harris. I think she would be marginally better than Trump policy wise, and she would be much better than Trump in terms of just social issues and things like that. So I'm low key kind of rooting for her, but again, I'm not super enthusiastic because the Biden Harris policy agenda was not great. It didn't really align with my values, especially foreign policy wise, funding the genocide and things like that. So, and in terms of, just at home, there's still no healthcare plan or anything like that. And, some things that I would like to see the Democrats try to address that they seem to have no interest in addressing. So I think she has a shot, though. I mean, I think she has a much better shot than Biden. I think going with Biden was frankly embarrassing just because, he just doesn't have it in because of his mental decline. And it felt like borderline elder abuse at that point to keep wheeling him out and to have him have these gaffes and things like that. So I think they made the right decision to sub out Harris. They should have done it far, far earlier. And he should have been a one-term president who then had a primary so that the voters could choose his replacement. And if that's Kamala, because she would have had the best shot as the VP with the name recognition, you would think she would run away with a primary like that anyway, and she would be the choice, and you just let the voters choose. But the main issue is that the voters had no say. She was anointed, and then she's going to anoint a VP and things like that, and then we're going to do the thing all over again. So I don't think, it's a Kamala issue specifically, but just how she was anointed to the position of vice president and now, presidential nominee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Carlos. Go ahead, Carl.
No, I mean, CJ, I mean, you definitely are opinionated with facts. But a lot of times when I keep going back to that the echelon of leadership, because when I first joined the military, not knowing anything about anything really, there was a level of training and discipline that I had to go to in order to attain the next rank. And as a police officer, there was no rank that was given to you. You had to earn that rank. If you didn't earn that rank, then there was somebody that came along, came up beside you and passed you up in that rank structure. But that didn't stop you from continuing to try to get that rank as well. You don't just push back and say, well, that guy there outranked me, I'm gonna push back. No, you're gonna keep striving for that. When you're talking about the president picks his vice president, for sure. But the people are stating that we're okay with that. You pick that person, all right, you got my vote. Don't have to like, dislike, or care anything about that person. You're banking on that the person that you're casting your vote for, that you're pushing forward, you're banking on that person making that logical, intelligent decision on who will be my successor. That's what you're banking on. None of us, when we talk about the qualifications of being president, that's why it's so strange to me that if we're in the game and we're playing a game against one another, and you're changing the rules on me in the game, but you still expect me to play the game so you can win. That's not the way the game is supposed to be played. So the rules are set in stone. They can be changed, but it takes, voting and majority for that. But if you change the rules on me, then that makes me change my way of playing the game. All right. So if I come down and I get an elbow to my sternum once or twice in a game, the next time I come down, I'm not going to look. I'm going to be looking for that elbow to my sternum, and I'm going to do something so you can't put that elbow to my sternum. So Democrats, we don't know how to change the game when the rules have been changed on us. You have to change your way of play, even though you're staying within the rules and the confines of the game. You still have to change your play. So that's where we fall short at, because the Republicans have shown us that they are disregarding the rules that have already been made. All right. So that means there's no rules to this game.
Sounds like you and CJ. It sounds like you and CJ are kind of saying the same thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking on the, because I'm a proud Democrat, but I'm a Democrat because when I came up and was eligible to vote, the Democrats were more aligned with where I wanted to be in my life. If I was to do it all over again, I'd have came up and said, hold up, I might be able to get more money if I go on this Republican side or this Democrat side. I'm trying to play by the rules and stay here. So everything, you know, so it changes. You know, my thought process on why I should vote for this person or why I shouldn't vote for this person, it changes. It changes because there's things that are done or said that you may not like or you may be swayed to like. So it changes. You're not gonna get a candidate that is gonna give you everything that you want. It's just not gonna happen on either side. So you have to say, okay, I'm sticking in the game, but I'm gonna voice my opinion on what you said that I don't like, but I'm not gonna cause no ruckus to make things look bad. You know, that's where the number one thing I hate about the Democrats, as I call it, is we don't know when to say keep our mouths shut, but we're gonna speak out against some things. Biden gaffling at the stage was not a thumbs down for me. The man's old, all right, but he was playing the game so he can set this black woman up to be the first black woman president in the game. That's what I, not knowing it, outside looking in, that's what I thought his game plan was.
All right.
Because he was in that position to do that. He wasn't expecting to to run another term. I think he was going to, like you say, be a one-termer. I got my black VP in here. That's what he wanted to do for this country. It's not that he wanted to do it for Biden. He was doing this so we as black people can see that historic event happen. And that's why he did. But he didn't break any rules behind it. He had his right to pick whoever he wanted to pick, and he picked.
Okay, hang on, Carl. Let me get Carlos.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
No, Carlos.
I don't want to take up all the mic time.
No, we can wrap up in a little bit. I want to get the financial analysts. You've heard a little bit now, Carlos. What you got?
All right. Bottom line is, yep. Number two. Look at it this way, okay? In 2020, there was a democratic process. Biden beat everyone. He earned a nomination. There were several people in the field. He beat them. He got the nomination. Bottom line, boom, done. That was a democratic process. He has a right to choose his vice president. He chose Kamala Harris. The Kamala Harris from 4 years ago, hopefully, is not the Kamala Harris of today. I'm thinking that with 4 years of experience as vice president, seeing how the White House works, she's gained experience over the last 4 years that she would not have gained to make her qualified for this position any other way. She can work on Capitol Hill, but there's a difference between working on Capitol Hill and working in the White House. So I'm thinking she's a better Kamala Harris today than she was 4 years ago. I'm also thinking that based on the fact that the Democrats, they didn't put anybody else up. They didn't run anybody against Biden, okay? So yes, that could have been a much better process to have someone try to challenge Biden. It didn't happen. But the way the game is played, the way the game is set, she is number two. She keeps all that campaign money because her name was already on the ticket that they had collected. Now she's collected over another 100 million the last couple of days. She's got young supporters, people motivated now to come out and vote and support her. She didn't raise $100 million because people just wanted to give away their money. She's motivated some people now. So I think the bottom line is Donald Trump now has a formidable opponent, okay, for this November. Joe Biden has, he's had a great career, 50 plus years in politics. He just aged differently than most people. And at 82, most people at 82 are ready to retire. So he's just ready to retire. Kamala is, at this point, as ready as she's going to be president. Nobody usually, most people don't have 4 years of working as vice president in the White House before they become president. Most of them are elected from being governors or senators or congressmen, but she has worked in the White House for the last 4 years. I can't even think of the last vice president who, if you take Biden out of the mix, okay, take Biden out of the mix, right? But who was the last vice president before Biden who was actually elected president? I can't even think. Gore didn't get it. Okay, it was Bush. Reagan's the first Bush. The first Bush was the last one. 35 years ago?
That's 80. Yeah, Reagan came in 80.
Yeah. So it doesn't happen all the time. So Kamala has the last 4 years, she's a better candidate, better person than she was. She's going to bring a different view. I think we just need to support her. The Democrats aren't perfect. You won't have the perfect candidate. So I agree with Carl on that. And this is where we're at. Let's see what happens. And I think we do need a different direction. And I do believe optics are going to play a huge part. I just think that a lot of young people are going to look at her and look at Trump and be like, let's give a younger woman a shot. Even though she's 59, she probably looks 39 or 49. And I think the optics is going to play a role. And I think her vice presidential pick, like CJ said, is going to be an opposite. Okay, it's probably going to be a white man. So they can secure votes. Most presidents pick the opposite of what they are. And that's how we're going to roll. And now we actually have an election. We got to fight now. We got to fight for November. It's not going to be a Trump landslide based on Biden blowing these debates and things like that. So we got to fight. So everybody just mount up, man up. Let's get ready for it. Let's get ready to rumble. That's what I got.
I just want to respond to something real quick that Carlos said. Like I said, I agree with most of that. I think most of that was pretty much spot on, your analysis and things like that. But you mentioned the 2020 primary of how Biden beat everybody and things like that. There are Biden aides the last 2 weeks before he dropped out talking about how they had to intervene and coalesce to make sure that they beat Bernie Sanders in 2020, who was winning that primary, until Barack Obama made some phone calls. Pete Buttigieg drops out. Amy Klobuchar drops out. Every other candidate coalesces around Biden. So they drop out to give their numbers to Biden to make sure Biden wins. Biden doesn't win that primary without the intervention of the Democratic elite and establishment, which they have themselves admitted on TV the past couple of weeks. They were panicking that people were asking how we got stuck with Joe Biden. That's why, and he should have been a one-term president. As Carl mentioned before, that should have been the plan. He should have been, look, I'll be a one-term president, be the bridge to maybe Kamala or somebody like that. So why didn't he just do that? Why did he try to run again and didn't make it to the finish line? That was just a crazy, it seems like selfish decision from the outside, when you should have been spending the 4 years grooming a replacement like a Kamala Harris or something like that, and just preparing people and preparing her for the job. So I just wanted to push back on the narrative of the 2020 primary of Biden running away with it because of his popularity. And that actually wasn't the case, as admitted by Biden staffers and Democratic elites. And the same with 2024, the primary this year. There are no candidates because they made sure that there were no challengers, and anybody with name recognition was told to not challenge Biden, or your chances in 2028 are toast, which makes sense for a political calculation. So you're not going to flush your chances if you're a young candidate challenging Biden this time around when you want to worry about your political future. So the reason that only Dean Phillips was the only establishment person willing to step in against Biden, and I don't know 13 people that know who Dean Phillips is, there really was no primary. And they went on CNN, and Simone Sanders and all these aides were going on CNN during that time saying there is no primary. We're not having a primary. They literally canceled the primary in Florida. So when you do that, that's what I'm talking about in terms of the optics of why people are a little uncomfortable with it. Not that it's an issue with Kamala particularly because of who she is or her politics, but just of how she was anointed and how Biden was anointed, and coalesced with the Democratic elite in 2020 to basically make sure he got that nomination.
Okay.
Yeah, one last thing I was going to throw in there too. I don't think this is anything new. I think Carl will probably agree to this. Gary will probably agree to this. There's a process to fill every position pretty much in this country based on EEOC and laws and policies, procedures, and all these different things. But the bottom line is backdoor conversations on every level, at every type of business, corporation, government, military, they happen. Okay, we're going to post this position, okay? These are all the requirements for the position. You think the corporate heads of the company or the corporate military or the military officers don't talk about who will be good candidates for this and what we need to do to support those good candidates, our good candidates to meet these requirements? That's the way it's posed. So I think those conversations that happen and Barack Obama making phone calls is his version of maybe how he had to support Joe Biden on this. But I think, unfortunately, what made this year a little bit different was there were no other candidates on stage, so we can say we're going through the proper procedures. I mean, I think the backdoor phone calls and the backdoor meetings and all those things always happen, but there was just no evident process that we were following the correct policies and procedures for this election. Even though they've done it technically, it would have been much more appealing to the public if we had seen 5 or 6 different challengers for Biden on stage. But I understand where CJ's coming from on that point.
Yeah, and that's just what I wanted to highlight. Like I said, it's not it's the lack of the process, like you were saying. I despise the Republican Party, so I don't like that they have a legit line of attack to say that their process was way more democratic than the Democrats' process, where they anointed their candidates and they let their voters choose. They chose a monster in Donald Trump, but they did let their voters choose, because the Republican establishment did not want Donald Trump. They want Nikki Haley or somebody more moderate who's going to be stronger in a general election and not insane on the January 6th and type stuff like that. So the Republican establishment got Trump, got beaten down by Trump again because of the voters. But again, it's a problem when the Republican side has a more democratic process to choose their candidates than the Democratic side, who is supposed to be the side saving democracy. I don't, what I'm saying, that's you're giving the Republicans an opportunity there.
Okay. Carl Jones.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to give you the final word. You're going to get 3 minutes to close us out. Go.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Yeah, man, I think this is the type of conversations that I like being a part of. That's why I sat so long on the call last night. Not just because I wanted to donate some money. It's just I want to hear what other people are talking about. So I really, when I go door to door here in Flagler County, I'm dealing with a demographic, sadly, that are under the frame of mind that their vote don't count. Why should I go vote? I'm not gonna get nothing out of it. So I mean, how do you sway? How do you sway someone that has already decided that I can't get anything out of this? But there's always a way. Say there's a will, there's a way. So we just try to say, look, if you have a child that's in the school system, then you should concern yourself with what's going on in the school system. All right. So if I have an autistic child, I'm not really going to be concerned about how my child fits into the school system. I want to know how he fits into the autistic, where they're specifically assigned to help autistic kids. So when I talk to people about voting, I just let them know that this is yours. If I hand you this, and it's yours, you can do with it what you may. All right, but if you do this, you can gain this from that. So when we go door to door, we just try to inform the people, let them know that it's not only their four walls. They have to think about the system as a whole. So I mentor. I'm the president of the African American Mentor Program. My number one focus as a mentor is making sure this child here has what he needs to compete with the other kids around. So that's where we come in at, to make sure they're knowledgeable of what's happening, not just concerned about what's between my shoulders. So that's what I preach, and that's what I try to teach. So I love this conversation, man, and I would love to see it on a broader scale, because we have some good people in this community that are sitting on their hands because they don't think anything they can get anything out of it. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for inviting me, man.
Okay. Well, you know what? We could sit on this topic and talk all night long, but we're not. But we got it at least started. We got it started. And, it's going to be a wild ride, I think, between now and the election. And so we're going to have more topics and more shows on this. Going to have a wide swath of guests to come on and give us some opinions. And this is why we call the show The Thought Brothers. So we are the Thought Brothers. And until next time, we are out of here.
Hey, man. Thank y'all, man.
All right. Hang on for a second there, Carl.
Okay.